motion pictures. Well, good for you because that's what this podcast is about. Welcome to the podcast. It is first for the first, where we're covering the first time movies of some big directors. But like I said, we don't want to cover anything where it's like they had studio backing or they got their Ethan Hawke dad to do it. Like we all want Ethan Hawke to be our dad, Maya. Okay, but we're talking
Yeah,
about
come on.
movies. We're talking about movies where the directors made it themselves. They had to go through a lot of struggles. And I'll tell you one thing, this movie went through every struggle you can imagine. It took 5 years to film. The director went through a divorce through it. He ended up having to sleep on set, which is kind of cool when it's for 5 days. It's not as cool when it's like for a year. He also,
Yeah, that's crazy. And it was in his stable. It wasn't even like a
yeah, it
room.
wasn't like a real room.
It was like where the
It was a
horses
set
go.
that looked like a room, and it
he
would not
he
even look
was
like a good room.
he was living like a
Um,
17th century like peasant, just
yeah,
like sleep in the
Yeah.
stables,
exactly.
boy.
He was sleeping in the manger, and he gave birth
Yeah,
to a
yeah.
baby. Um,
Jesus
yeah,
Lynch.
and so when we get back from this commercial break, you're gonna find out who this director is, one of the best directors of all time. So join us when we come back from the bum spot. Hey guys, if you're liking this podcast, we'd really love for you to like and subscribe. And you want to continue to support the podcast, the best way to do it right now is to watch the movies that we've made. We're not just podcasters, we're also filmmakers, and we have a couple of movies that are out. We have The Last Ones, which is a zombie drama about the reality of living in an apocalypse. We have Borderland, which is kind of a midnight movie about a woman who owes money to the cartels. And of course, we have my latest feature, The Empty Space. It's about grief, letting go, and mental illness. All of them are on Tubi and on every streaming service you can kind of find. You can always just type my name in there, Andrew Hara. And The Last Ones and The Empty Space are on Screamify and Screambox, so go check those out. We'd love for you to watch those movies. We really appreciate it. And now let's get on with the show. The Empty Space is a lot like this movie that we're about to cover. So today we're covering, I actually was like, oh, I saw this movie to kind of prepare for The Empty Space because they have similar, not themes, but they have similar, like, I'm not explaining anything to you. One of
Yeah.
the most famous things about this is that this director called this movie his most spiritual movie. I think it's David Lynch. If you've seen the clip, he goes, "This is my most spiritual movie," and then they asked him to expand on that, and he goes, "No."
Now.
But also, like,
Just don't watch
I
it on
almost
your
feel like
phone.
it is self-evident, though I know we're going to talk about it. Like, it does just fully exude that. So,
Yes. So this is
Yeah.
1977's Eraserhead. We could have done Star Wars, but we did Eraserhead. Directed and written by David Lynch. It stars Jack Nance, Charlotte Stewart. Really, those are it. I mean, Alan Joseph. There's a bunch of like kind of people who are there for
we're
one
in there
day.
for a
Judith
minute.
Roberts
Yeah, like
plays
It
the
30
stars
amazing Reaper.
Mutant Baby as the Mutant Baby.
Yeah,
He's
it
the
starts out
third
with
Yeah.
the baby.
character.
Yeah.
And
Spike.
yeah, I mean, this movie we could talk about, like I said. So this movie started because David Lynch. If you guys don't know what the American Film Institute is, it's kind of like a school, but it's supposed to be like a film school where you're making films. You're not just like learning about film.
Right. It's like a conservatory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so David Lynch was gonna leave because they kept shutting down his movie. He had like a movie called Garden Back, was about a guy whose back was growing a garden as he was trying to cheat on his wife. And they didn't want to fund it, so he was gonna leave. But then the co director wanted him to stay, and so he convinced them on the condition that David Lynch could make whatever he wants and he would not get stopped. And so David Lynch has this 20-page script for a movie called Eraserhead. And what he doesn't tell AFM is that this movie is not a short film; it is a feature film.
Right.
And so he
Yeah.
starts filming it, and eventually, like, they don't want to fund it anymore. So he like has to stop and start. And what he would do, he's even said this in interviews, is like, we would film, and then we would run out of money, we would all go away, and then we would film again. And even when they were filming at AFM, like AFM was giving them free locations, but they were having to constantly like shut down sets and build them again because AFM needed those locations for actual other film. And so
Yeah.
then like they had who's the guy who made Badlands? Terrence Malick was even helping him try
Yeah.
to get funds. He screened a portion of this movie for some investors. and the investors famously called it bullshit and walked out.
I mean, come on, man. You show it to a bunch
I
of
don't
dentists.
agree with that, but it's not hard to
They're
see
gonna
that.
be like,
yeah,
no,
exactly.
this is nothing.
Well, and
What?
it went on like it played at small festivals. It's grown a huge cult following, and it's a thing where it's famously David Lynch will talk about how they shot one shot where Jack Nance, who plays the main character, he goes into a room and then he walks. When you see him walk into the room, it's a year later. And also, Jack Nance in this movie has like crazy hair. If you know anything about Eraserhead, you probably know how the hair on the guy looks. Just keep in mind that he had to keep that for 5 years as they were filming this movie. And he did it. And
like everyone went to bat for this.
Yeah. And he had
and like someone at AFI too, like there was like some director who said that he was going to quit his posting if they didn't like continue giving him like the opportunity to make this film. Like there was, I feel like that's such a testament to Lynch. Like there was just people knew that this was going to be special. They just had to wait a long time and put a lot of trust.
Well, and then even then afterwards, I know Stanley Kubrick said this was his favorite movie of all time. He showed it to the people in The Shining, and he was like, "This is the vibe we're going for." Imagine someone showing you this movie in like '77, be like, "This is what we're going for." I'd be like, "I don't know what that means, man.
Right?
I don't know what the fuck that means." And like a bunch of people, and since it was Jack Fisk who threatened to quit, and his wife is Sissy Spacek famously from Carrie. So it was that weird thing where it was like it was almost this, and like it happens less now, but it was like this corporate versus artist thing, where the artists were really going to bat for Lynch just to see like, let's see what this kid can do, and like AFM was like, no, he's spending too much money, this is taking too long, like why are we investing in essentially like the most obscure art house film of all time. But like again, the reason that we're covering these type of films, because like I don't think anyone, like if you have an investor who wants to give you $2 million, we don't have any advice for you. Like go knock it out.
Right.
Yeah, but like David Lynch, he got a
pretty good opportunity.
He got a job like working in the stables. He was like living in the stables that they were using as a set. He was like raising money by like doing deliveries, like he was doing everything he can. And like luckily he had a team that wanted to do this with him. But it was that thing where he did not let the fact that they would run out of money stop him. Like he was always going to finish it. And so I think that's really cool. I think that's a really inspiring thing. Even if you don't like this movie, the fact that it's become such a staple, that it's like that a movie like this that's so weird has become such a staple is super cool. But now that we've done all the trivia,
100%,
there's a lot of trivia on all these. We can talk about the actual movie. So, and also like this is gonna be a little weird because
I don't even like. I was thinking about how
no
we talk about the plot.
Way to talk about it, so I think it's just gonna be like more of an open discussion. We'll have to explain.
I mean, in
plot.
a weird way, there is kind of a plot. Like it is sort of like it's for being such a weird movie. It is like, I mean, I've seen this movie now like I don't know, like 10, 15 times, something like that. And it's like the first time you watch it, you're just like, "Damn, this is just so crazy." But it's like the more you see it, it's like it's pretty. It's pretty
the actual
plot like a really weird way. Yeah,
I think like the biggest thing with Lynch is that he's not. It's not that his movies are so weird that you don't understand them. It's that the themes are like he doesn't really tell you what the themes are. He makes you kind of get them yourself.
Right.
And I think that's why people get kind of confused, because it's like, especially modernly, like movies tell you 8 times what the theme is sometimes, and it's like when you have a movie that's not even a little bit gonna tell you what it is and you have to kind of figure it out yourself, I think that scares people. But so this movie, it's about a guy who doesn't maybe works, who knows, but he
does have a job.
He's on vacation.
He has a job. He mentions it to the parents. Henry.
Yeah, Henry. I mean, I don't believe Henry when he says that, but if that's the story.
It's all kind of dreamlike. We should say
it is very dream. Yes,
right.
Well, and, if you go in,
he has an apartment and he can pay rent, so we do know that. Right.
And so, like, well, and first things first, like, and we'll like the movie does not hesitate in getting you into what this movie's gonna feel like, because it starts off, it's Henry's head in space. And it's like a planet, and the planet is like positioned to be his brain,
right?
And
you see an evil, like a kind of a moon man at a window, like a broken window, watching him through it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you'd call it a moon man, but to me, he's moon man-esque.
And he's crusty. He's got like
the like
Like he looks old.
The
like
moon
ancient.
in your eye, like old short from the 20s. He kind of has that all over his body.
Yeah, like Herman
Oh,
Yeah.
Melville's.
that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Melier.
Yeah.
He looks like he's made of the moon. He has like like not craters
Yeah.
necessarily, but he has that kind of texture. If you've seen like I saw the TV Glow, like they have that moon guy. He kind of looks.
Oh,
like
the moon face man. Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and then he sees like this little baby that is like a snake type thing that has like a horse head that you will see a lot. And he
Yeah.
kind of sees it floating in space, and then we immediately just kind of cut to him walking to his apartment, and like,
Well, the Moon Man
oh,
pulls a
that's
lever,
right.
which that's kind of like
Sets
what,
everything off.
and then like
The baby falls.
the weird
It's
sperm animal thing falls into
it's
a
also
puddle.
everything is either kind of like when we kind of describe things like it's like everything's almost sperm adjacent or umbilical cord adjacent, and obviously that's kind of like what the imagery that keeps coming up because it's all kind of that, you know.
Yeah. And I do want to say too, like, this is a pretty low budget film, but like I think just from these opening images, like it is going to be a weird episode to describe, but like just also know that like every image like just looks
yeah
incredible.
it is.
It doesn't look like super special effecty, but it's like the artistry.
It's like high
is
contrast,
just, like,
black and white,
unparalleled.
and that really does like give it like it is stunning to look at, honestly.
And also the
like,
movie's black
constantly.
and white. The movie's very like again, like, okay, so we cut after he pulls the lever, the creature's washed away, he's in the puddle. And then we cut to Henry and he's walking home, and Lynch purposely set in like an urban kind of setting, but it kind of reminds me of like the Iron Man, that Tetsuo German movie.
Oh, Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Oh yeah,
it kind of looks like that, where it's like not
it's
only
like
is it industrial, but
brutalist
everything looks like brutalist is a good way to describe it.
Like brutalist, apocalyptic.
Desolate.
Where it's like
it also reminds me of that movie Stalker.
Oh, I love Stalker.
Very like industrial, very like dark. It's very like kind of gross. And so he comes home and like this lady's like, "Oh, hey, your girlfriend was here and she wanted to invite you to dinner." And it's also like,
and he just like looks at her like,
okay. He kind of looks at it. He also like Henry just permanently looks nervous. Like every time they cut.
He's kind of like if he wasn't in this like horror comedy, I don't know what you call it. It's almost the kind of like way Hugh Grant used to be in movies, where he's just kind of confused and looking around a lot. Like, but instead of a rom-com, he's trapped in a nightmare.
The genre you would call this film is a David Lynch movie. That's the only way to describe it.
That's pretty much it. It's got it all.
So then, like, one of the great things about this, so he goes to dinner, and this has been happening the whole time, but this is where you really see it. So the whole time that we're watching this movie, the background, the sound design of this movie is great, and the background of it is this kind of like constant humming, and I think that helped, and I think that might be more so why most people call this a horror film, because it makes you feel uncomfortable. It makes you feel like something else. It always makes you feel like something's happening in the other room. It'd be like if an engine was like in my kitchen right now, and I'm just like ignoring it as it's like being loud.
Yeah.
But like I'm not addressing it, and so like that's how every part of this movie feels.
Totally. And like you said, like it's whenever you say it doesn't stop, like it's literally from like if you buy the soundtrack, I think they released it on vinyl like in 2012. Like it's just an hour and a half of that sound and like other sounds. Like it literally doesn't stop.
Also, the vinyl is 3 tracks. It's that sound for like an hour. It's that sound again for like an hour, and then it's In Heaven, the song they sing later.
What hipster ass is buying the vinyl? Is it you, William?
Me and William are.
Dude, I wish I had a copy of that so bad.
I have a copy. I have a copy.
Yeah.
You have the vinyl?
Well, not the vinyl, but I do have the soundtrack. I needed to listen to.
Oh no, I don't have the soundtrack. No, dude, I wish I did.
I listened to In Heaven.
Just industrial sounds for 45 minutes. You guys are the worst.
Yeah.
And so then they're at the dinner, and like another thing that I really like about Finch, he doesn't just do it in this. He does it also like Twin Peaks is almost famous for this, where they do the thing where like they almost don't do small talk, but they kind of like it's like when they do small talk, because he goes in, his girlfriend's not there, he's sitting with like the dad, and every time they ask each other questions, it's like the characters really take a long time to answer. But even if the question is
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, how's it going today?" and he's just kind of like,
Oh,
"Good."
I don't know
Yeah,
much of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
And it's like, and what I feel like about this scene too, like, so he's like gone to his girlfriend's house, and they're like, so like one thing about this, like something that he does a lot in this movie is like strange
yeah,
arrangements of like furniture or just like set design. So it's like when they first get to this house, it's like the mom, the daughter, and Henry are all sitting in a couch with a chair really close to the couch, and they're backed up in like what feels like the wrong corner of the room. And the mom is like, "So what do you do,
yeah.
Henry?" And it's like, if you want to look at this like on like pretty face level, it's like you could see all this as like it really is just like the uncomfortability of like meeting your
And
girlfriend's or
yeah,
wife's
yeah.
parents or something for the first time. Like it just feels like you're not used to being in this house. You know how these people act. So like everything just feels like familiar but like a little
and I
bizarro.
think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's why Lynch's stuff um resonates with so many people is because it does have like, I mean, granted, like he's sitting in a room with like the weirdest people ever, everyone's acting weird, but it
Right.
captures that spirit of you've ever been like at your girlfriend's house and you're meeting her parents for the first time. And you're really like,
Yeah.
oh, anything could happen right now. Like, I don't know, maybe they're racist, maybe
Right.
they're like super hippies, maybe
Yeah.
they're pothead, like,
Maybe they think I'm
yeah,
dumb.
like I've,
Yeah.
you know, you sometimes go with them and they like, you have to pretend that you've never kissed your girlfriend before. But then there's other parents that are
Right.
like,
Right.
oh yeah, I know what you guys are doing. You can stay in the same bedroom. You know, it's like, okay, cool. And
Just keep it
yeah,
down.
exactly. And that's how it
Yeah.
feel like he captures that feeling. And it's like, and it's so
Mm-hmm.
crazy because the the stuff that's happening on screen, like this is one of the most famous scenes where then they're at like dinner and the dad's like, usually maybe you can carve the Cornish hen tonight. Usually it's her. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he goes to cut it
Oh.
and he puts the knife
It's
in
like
and
bleeding.
it
Yeah,
starts bleeding and
yeah.
then like
Yeah.
the legs of the Cornish hen start moving, like they start twitching. And he like looks at the wife and the daughter and his girlfriend and they're like they
Yeah,
want
there's
to
like
eat it. Yeah.
salad, like
Yeah, it's
tension.
like
Yeah.
it's almost like because obviously like most movies you've seen, I don't know. I keep going back to rom coms. This is a weird like connection.
It is kind of
It's
rom
kind of a
Um,
rom
com.
com.
but
Just
like
It's
it's
like Two
very,
like
Men and a
yeah.
Baby.
because they do have a lot of like, oh,
Yeah.
the parents, it's crazy, but it's almost like one of those scenes stripped of like all familiarity or like
Right.
normalcy almost, or it's like all normal human like reactions to this. So it's just like the base raw, like how it feels to be anxious in that
Yeah.
situation
Right.
with
Yeah.
nothing on top of
Exactly.
it. And
Yeah.
yes, it's pretty uncomfortable. It's kind of an
And I,
uncomfortable film.
And
So,
the way that the dad acts too, like the dad is like the most like normal one, and like so he like comes into
yeah.
the house and he's like he sees Henry, he's like, I thought I saw someone else here. How you doing,
yeah,
man? And like it just seems like this is just a dad who wants to hang out with another guy, and he's just like totally chill and totally normal until like what Andrew was saying earlier, how he'll just like pause and like not speak when he's supposed to speak. It's like he is kind of like the glue
yeah.
in a way to keep the
It's like
audience
a
Yeah.
grounded because
facade,
it's like
but
he's
it's like holding
Yeah.
things
yeah.
together. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think yeah, it's that weird thing where it's like yeah, there's always a connection, but it's so small, you know. It's just such a like what
It's
am I?
like it's like an alien describing human emotions rather than like
Yeah.
experiencing them. I don't know. It's very. I mean, it's obviously it's
Right.
all very intentional, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
it's clearly meant to make you a little bit uneasy.
And so then
Yeah.
they're like, you guys need to get married because the daughter had a baby, and so you have to get
Oh yeah,
married.
and then the
And
mom like kind of comes on to him. She's like,
yeah,
have you slept
Yeah,
together?
like
Have you slept together?" And he's like, "Oh, help me."
I don't think that's any of your
yeah,
Yeah, he's
business.
like, "We love each other very much." We should also like, I mean, obviously, it's like to almost state the obvious. He like is kind of a David Lynch. Like David Lynch looks like this person. Like it's like the hair, the big hair,
Right.
the
Yeah.
kind of like
And his voice
yeah,
is
and
similar.
yeah.
he's almost affecting like it's David Lynch's personality. It's like how George
But
Costanza
see,
eventually became a Larry David
I don't
impression.
know if I
You
agree with
know?
that because in like
Yeah.
interview, like if you watch David Lynch talk, he doesn't really tell you about his films and stuff, but he's very passionate. Like there's that famous clip where they're like telling him that they're like, "How much longer is this scene gonna take?" And he's like, "Who gives a fuck? Like, shut the fuck up! Like, you
Yeah.
just need like I'm trying to film this. Like, why do you guys keep asking me stupid ass questions?" And so I think
Yeah.
it's maybe this like kind of is David Lynch back in the day, before he had
Yeah,
I
like
was gonna say
when
like
he
young
was like
Lynch. Yeah.
and
struggling. Yeah.
and so like it's kind of funny to see this guy like where he's gonna end up, but you're watching him like way back then. I think that's also that makes it like even more
Right.
interesting. But so then,
And
go
like
ahead.
one
No,
oh go for it. Like one thing I was reading too, or like I listened to this somewhere, like he had like a pretty idyllic childhood, like when he was like really young, and then his family like moved to
yeah,
Philadelphia, and it was like he saw hell for the first
yeah,
time. And so it's like I feel like you kind of have to see this movie through that lens as well.
right,
And it's like he called it like his Philadelphia
yeah,
story, and it's like it's Philadelphia obviously does look like a weird industrial hellscape, but it's like I feel like that's so integral to like how he sees the world at this point in time, like what he's like
yeah,
trying to
yeah. It's kind of like
express.
there's a famous thing about Close Encounters, where if spoilers for Close Encounters, you should have already watched it. At the very end of Close Encounters,
Yeah.
the main character played by Richard Dreyfuss, he goes off with the aliens and he's gonna go explore. He leaves his family
Mhm.
behind hilariously.
He's a family
Yeah.
man, yeah,
And
yeah,
Spielberg said, I made this movie when I was 23, and it made so much sense for him to go off with aliens. And he's like, and as soon as I had my first kid, there's never gonna be a time where he would go off with those aliens again. And it was like,
Right.
it's from
right,
someone
right,
who's like thinking of how a family man would be, and then it's the perspective of a
Someone who
family
actually
man.
is.
And it's kind of like it's
totally, yeah,
interesting, like
yeah,
you do see like that's why it's kind of funny when they ask like how is it spiritual. It's like there's so much in it if you know like about Lynch, because now we're gonna get into the second part of the film,
right,
which is even more kind of
yeah,
It's
crucial to
funny.
his how he was.
Not to just keep throwing out other directors and just spinning off,
Yeah,
but
yeah, when do you ever go on tangents?
not to go on tangents. That's more of an Andrew thing. But in a lot of ways, because this is also one of those things where it's like, oh, I like respect what you're doing. Martin Scorsese doing After Hours, where it's like, oh, this is about him trying to get laid in New York, and I
Yeah,
don't necessarily connect to this, but this is exactly who he was at this point in his life. You know what I mean? It's just like this isn't hitting for me, but
yeah.
it feels very personal in a weird way, even though
wait, I'm
it's
sorry, why are you comparing this to After Hours? Are you
what
saying that this movie did not hit for you?
it doesn't. I have not had a child and experienced the anxiety of trying to
Interesting.
raise a child, so I respect it more
Man,
than I
it
like
is
it. I guess if that
it
makes
is
sense.
interesting. We'll talk about it by the end of
Mm,
it. I think
yeah.
it's the David Lynch effect, but I think that kind
Yeah.
of hits on something. So anyway, as Josh just spoiled, then they have the baby,
Well, obviously there's a
and
baby.
so they go to the
Yeah.
Everyone
baby.
knows about the baby.
They
And the wife does say they're not sure if it's a
Yeah, they
baby.
do say that,
So
and
that's
She's
so
like, I
they
don't
funny.
even
move
know if
into
it. Yeah.
his dystopian apartment. It's just like a one
Right.
bed and
His
like a
pool digs.
bench.
Yeah. And a
Yeah,
birdhouse
and
thing.
the baby does not stop crying for the rest of the movie. It's just
It's
a baby
it's it's
crying
also
every
just
once in a while.
it's the mutant like kind of tiny full horse head swaddled in a blanket, and that's it.
Yeah,
That's the baby.
and
And it's
Just
always
a
it's always
wet
screaming
yeah.
looking.
creature.
It kind of it the fact that they make it always wet makes it look like it's just been born or if it's some kind of reptile,
Right.
which like
Totally.
makes
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
even more, and it also makes it harder to see that it's fake because it's so like kind of gross and
It looks
otherworldly.
alive
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
and so I think that really
Yeah.
helps. I think that like makes it kind of weirder. And so after
Yeah.
not too long, the girlfriend leaves because of the constant disturbing crying that the baby does.
Yeah.
They
She
even
can't
do
handle
they
it, so she
almost do like
escapes.
a lot of this movie is just kind of just comedy presented without like laughter, because it's like she's trying to get her suitcase under the bed for like a full minute. She's just like
Yeah,
tugging on it, and
Yeah.
yeah,
it's like Peter Griffin holding his knee almost, where it's just like, oh,
yeah,
it's playing it so
Right.
and
long that it becomes like
yeah,
absurd.
And the way that she looks at him when she's trying to get the suitcase out too is like she kind of is like
yeah.
smiling weird, and she's like very
Yeah.
Yeah.
thrusting. Like it's a very
There,
weird
there's
part.
and this kind of stuff is sprinkled throughout the film where it's like someone is just not acting human for a long time, or like
Mhm.
they're doing something so mundane like this, but they do it for so long that it's just like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be taking from this. This is taking a while, and like to the point where
Right.
it's like, okay, now I kind of see. And so then the girlfriend leaves and it's just crying, and the baby doesn't eat. He doesn't really do anything. He just cries like the whole. He's not
Yeah.
even really growing.
Yeah, he's just in like swaddling
Yeah,
clothes. He's
he's
just like
he's
completely wrapped
bundled
up the
up like a
entire
little
Basically,
time.
cute
just a
baby.
head and a
Mhm.
ball of blankets. Yeah.
Yeah, with a long
Yeah.
neck.
And he has to feed him with like a weird
Yeah.
needle tube that he kind of sticks in his. And they also have a tiny little humidifier
Oh
that's
yeah.
So
constantly
like,
humidifying over the
well,
baby's
and
face,
it's like,
making
and
his
even
baby
though
sing.
I'm not a parent, and probably never will be one, let's be honest. Uh, but it's like,
Yeah, that's
you
fair.
really do kind of get like, because I've had a lot of friends talk about, it's like, oh, when my baby was really young, it got sick, and it's just like these weird sleepless nights of just checking on it every 5 minutes, and it's like
Yeah.
this really does kind of
Yeah.
capture that feeling, because I think it's like he looks away and looks back, and it's just like covered in like chicken pox, kind of, and it's just like
Yeah. Yeah.
where
Yeah,
you
like
just
some
don't know
weird thing.
anything and you can't do anything.
Right. Right.
And its mouth looks all like chopped up meat,
Yeah.
kind of, and like just undecipherable what's going
Yeah.
Yeah,
on.
and I think it's that thing too where it's like when you're trying to help something and they don't accept the help, then it's like, well, I don't know what the next step is, like once the solution
Right.
didn't work, what's the next? And so as all this kind of stuff is happening, he's also starting to have visions. He
Oh,
sees a
it's like
lady
a
who's
moon
inside.
lady dancing,
Yeah,
and
and she
when
screams it
she's
eventually.
like
She's in
stepping
the
on umbilical
radiator.
cord kind of sperm things. She's like
Yeah, well, she's stepping on
smashing.
more of those little things,
Yeah,
the little babies. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Is
Mhm.
that are those things supposed to be the
they're
babies?
like
I mean, I think they're like
they're
babies.
kind of
It's
just
like
tip
I don't know.
spindly.
I do
They're
wonder if
cord like.
maybe
Yeah.
because
Well, I was,
oh,
oh, go for it.
famously
Go for it.
Lynch has never revealed how they made that thing, and there's like a bunch of speculation, and like I know at one point he said like it was like condoms and like glue, and it's like that doesn't make sense.
It's probably just
And
crafting
Yeah.
so
wise.
yeah,
Honestly.
that's what I'm thinking. Like, but he's never talked about it, and I wonder if by the time they get around to making more of them, they're like, we don't really remember how to make this thing anymore. Like, so
Right.
it's gonna get pretty close.
Because there's even a scene where he like, yeah, there's like a scene where he's like pulling them out of his
Yeah.
wife too before she leaves. Like, he like wakes up in the middle of the night because she's like she won't move over, and then he just starts like pulling a
Yeah.
bunch of them out of her,
Yeah.
crotch essentially. So and it's like they won't stop coming, and so it's like I don't know. It's weird because this kind of goes into the end of the movie. It's not a spoiler or anything like that, but it's like I don't know. They're little sperms, but I also feel like they're kind of like representative. I'm gonna get real freaking
Yeah.
hippie dippy real quick,
Do it.
but they're kind of like souls
Right.
in a way, or just sort of like other
Yeah.
entities. And I feel like the woman, so this lady in the radiator that Andrew's talking about is like this woman who she looks like the idyllic like 50s person, and she has like this like nice little haircut, and she's on a stage, and there's nice little music going on, but her cheeks are like deformed and weird and gross,
Moonstruck.
and yeah, and she's like dancing in a weird way, and then these like little sperms fall on the stage, and she like starts crushing them with
Yeah.
her feet, and they're just like exploding out this like gross goo. And so I was on one when I was watching this last time, and I was like, what if? So so Henry, aka Lynch, has seen the dark side of the
Yeah.
world. He's seen pain for the first time. He's seen what he thought was an idyllic life is actually total trash and awful. And so it's like the sperms. Oh, so this lady represents what you think is going to be the ideal
Right.
life, what you think happiness is, and what he's experiencing actually is a deformed version of that. And this deformed version of life is crushing all the little sperms that are just trying to exist and be
Right.
happy.
Right.
So that's what I think the little
Okay.
sperms
That makes
are.
sense.
That was
No,
very
no,
long.
I
That was
get
very
it.
long-winded, but
I think it's that thing where it's like, yeah. I mean, and it's funny too because the thing is technically the monster of the picture. They like kind of they preface him by saying, "Oh, we don't know if it's human. I don't know if it's a child, really."
But it's like,
And then it cries the whole
Right.
time, and it looks like a monster. But the thing doesn't really ever do anything until later. It's like just crying, but it's not doing anything.
Right.
And one of the things, this is why I wanted to talk about this too, is that so David Lynch's daughter was born with like a club foot, and she had to get a bunch of
Right.
surgeries, and it's around
Right.
this time. And so I wonder if this whole thing about the baby is also like a little bit of like that thing where when you're a parent, I remember when my one time my niece was over, and she was doing niece stuff, and she jumped wrong, and she like dislocated her arm. And my brother's a
Right.
doctor, so he was able to put it back, and then they like made sure it was fine and everything. But I thought about that when I was there, and I was like, but I'm not a doctor, and if that was my kid, how would I have reacted to that situation? Like, because she's
Yeah.
like bawling and stuff
Right.
like that, and there's nothing you could really do, because like I don't know, I wouldn't even have known that it was popped out, but he was able to know like he's a doctor again. And
Right.
so
Right.
I like that's that feeling that Lynch is bringing to this, where it's like, obviously there was a solution to his daughter's club foot. She just had to get a bunch of surgeries, but it's stuff that's out of his
Mhm.
control. And it's kind of like what William was saying, this kind of like the way that things are getting crushed by reality is like,
Right.
and it's like, even like the movie itself, like David Lynch is trying to make this movie, and there's stupid, and like in filmmaking in general, there's stupid
Totally.
shit in the
Like
way.
the whole
There's,
right.
oh, we don't know if it's
Mhm.
gonna be a hit, we don't know if it's gonna be profitable, and it's like, yeah, but
Are we
is
gonna
that
get
what I'm
money?
trying to do right now, or I'm just trying to make a fucking movie? Like, like, am I trying
Right.
to be profitable with this, or am I trying to make art? And it's like that thing where I think it's David Lynch kind of thumbing his nose at those guys, being like, you can't, you can squash all this all the little angels you want, but
Yeah.
you're not going to be able
All the little
you're not
angels
going to
you
be
want.
able to stop the machine, like the dream, and it's also like, I
Right.
think that also works in, because then once she goes back, when he goes back into the radar, and he's seen her, and she sings this song in heaven, which is the most eerie song of all time. And then his head,
Yeah.
like after he hears that song, his head explodes and
Yeah,
pops
like
off.
it
It's
like
like,
pops
Right.
off and rolls
Yeah.
around.
yeah,
And then a boy takes it to be like a mate. Like he's like,
Finds
oh,
it.
and he like runs to like a factory to like turn it into.
Yep.
Yeah,
Into the
yeah.
it's
factory.
just like
And
such a.
it's also so funny, because this scene, like he finds the head, he picks it up, and it's almost like the whole movie, like we've been saying, it's very dreamlike, it's very like crazy. And other
Mhm.
than the fact that he's holding a human head, this sequence is very straightforward. Like, it's like it has the most dialogue, I think. I think
Yeah,
there's an actual conversation. They're not just talking
it's
at each other like the
it's all
rest
just
of the
kind of
movie.
presented. It's
Yeah,
in a weird,
Right.
like, especially if you've seen like a lot of David Lynch movies, it's like you can see a lot of like bits of them in this. Like this almost like kind of like
Totally. Yeah.
reminds me of
100%.
the um oh god, and why can't I think of it? There's like an assassin killing everyone he comes across in a building. In
In
yes, and
Mulholland
it
Drive.
oh
almost
yeah,
feels like that kind of
Yeah.
aside.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he does that
Um,
thing too, where it's like, you have, oh, and so then the kid's like, he's taking the head so it can become an eraser, so it's Eraserhead. There's the title, guys. um
I like, dude. I didn't even put that together until just now. It's so obvious.
that's like the main
I've always been like, why
yeah,
pixels?
like, yeah. That's
Dang,
so
man.
funny.
That's
And so then he
great.
just wakes up, and he goes across the hall to try to hook up with the lady again, his neighbor, and she's with another man.
Oh yeah, he slept with his
Yeah,
neighbor at some
yeah,
point.
he slept with his neighbor to
Yeah.
kind of get away from the baby. And so then he goes back
Yeah.
to the room, and he's like, he decides to finally like cut the baby's wrapping. And so he cuts the baby's wrapping, he opens it up, and like, this is the coolest sequence. Like, the baby looks like it's breathing, like it's crying. It doesn't seem
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
any actual skin. It seems like that wrapping was like, the bundle was literally holding it together. And so like, and then
Hmm.
like, the Henry just kind of stabs it, and it starts to
Yeah.
ooze, it starts to
Yeah.
like get a bunch of thick liquid, it looks like almost like oatmeal, and then it grows
Oh
huge.
yeah.
And
Yeah. This
see
crazy stuff comes out of it.
and
This
see and I
foam.
think that's another reason why people are like, how did you make this? And I know I made a joke earlier about how they couldn't remember how to make this, but then the baby gets
Yeah.
really, really big, but the big head looks exactly like the little baby head. And so
Right.
it doesn't look like, sometimes you watch the big one, and it's like, that doesn't even look like, you use a different model. With this one, it looks like, oh no,
right.
this just looks like the thing got bigger. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it looks like, and like the way that, and like whenever he kills it, like when he opens up the swaddling clothes or whatever. I don't know why I keep on saying that, but like the organs are like they're genuinely
yeah,
pulsing,
yeah,
and it's kind of like when you watch Jurassic Park 1 again, you're like, dang, these dinosaurs look so good without any CGI. Like that's totally crazy. And like this looks so real, and there's like no money in this
yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
And it's like, how do they
And
do
it's
that,
like
man? Like
cut in
it looks
parts, yeah.
legit.
And so,
Yeah.
and then like, then it's kind of like, doesn't really, it ends, but it has like, then lights are going off. The guy with the levers, he can't control the levers and they're sparking.
Mm-hmm.
And then Henry ends up with the radiator lady in heaven,
Yeah,
essentially.
that's the
Yeah.
best way to
Right.
describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think
Yeah.
it's the thing where it's one of those movies. It kind of reminds me of 2001, although 2001 is a little bit more straightforward, obviously.
Yeah.
But like if you
Yeah.
ask me like what is your interpretation of 2001 or Eraserhead, and like I give you my interpretation, and your interpretation is completely different. I'm not. It's not like Inception where you're like, no, you're wrong. It's like, oh, I can see how
Right.
someone got that from this. You know, like for me, it's all about this
Totally.
advancement
Yeah.
in technology and how it's bad. But another person might think it's like the quest for God. It's kind of the same thing with this, where like Eraserhead to me, it's kind of like this fear of the future. Like you're there, he's constantly scared about what's going to happen. The baby kind of
Right.
represents the uncertainty of everything, and the fact that Lynch was
Mm-hmm.
feeling that with his daughter, it kind of like helps me put
Right.
it into perspective. But if
Mm-hmm.
someone else was like, no, I think it's about like a loser guy. Like I'm not gonna necessarily say no.
Yeah. It's like, well, yeah,
I
that does
think
happen.
like watching a movie like this, it just feels like such an experience. It feels like something that you've never seen
Yeah.
before, even if you've seen it before. Like every time I go into this movie, I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
Right. Like it feels out of
yeah,
time. Like one of my notes I wrote down was like Duel is obviously a
right.
70s thriller, and El Mariachi is a little timeless too, but like it's a
Yeah.
90s thriller, it's like an action movie. But like this one for sure, maybe out of any other director's first films, like this just feels like it feels produced, and it feels like it couldn't have been any better
Yeah.
or worse at
Yeah.
all.
It
Like it's
is
just
what it
like
If
is. Yeah.
it's so
if you
solid. Yeah, like it just exists regardless of humanity in
yeah,
a way.
no, I
I don't
think
know
that's
if that's a
great.
real pretentious way to
I
put it,
think if you
but
told me this film was made in like 1910 and it was like the first movie and they were just trying to figure out shit, I'd be like, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes
right.
sense. Or 1970. It's like funny. Like imagine you're like, okay, I'm doing a little movie marathon. First, I'm gonna see Star Wars, then I'm gonna see Rocky, and then I'm gonna see Eraserhead. And it's like you're coming out of
Right.
each of those
It's
movies, and you're like, my mind is being blown in a very different way, like every single time.
right,
My
right,
life has changed with every screening, essentially. Um,
right.
and I think like to me again that's the thing where I think I think one of the powerful things about David Lynch is the answer of like, can you expand on how this movie's spiritual? No, I can't, because I think so many times,
Right.
especially when you were in film school, like there's been students who are like, no, 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 let me tell you. Like I once had me and a film student were talking, and they were telling me like, oh, well, it wasn't fair because I didn't get to explain what my movie was about. And it's this thing where it's like, but your movie is there to
Right.
explain what your movie is about,
Right. It should be self evident
Exactly. Yeah.
and
essentially.
I
Yeah.
think,
Mm-hmm.
well, not necessarily self-evident, but at least self-evident to you. Like David Lynch is
Yeah.
famously, he's not going to tell you what this movie's about, and like I said, there could be a million different interpretations, but I think David Lynch had his interpretation of what the movie is.
Right. There's a
Yeah.
plan
and
behind it all, even if it's completely
and part of
incoherent.
it was the fact that he wasn't going to tell you. Like it's the same thing where like, not to toot my own
Mm-hmm.
horn, but the empty space, I have had people ask me, is it in her head or is it real? And part of the movie is that it's not for you to know. Like it's for you to decide. It's not for me to make that decision for you.
Right.
I know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's real. No, I'm just kidding. I know what it is, but the point of the movie is for you to make that decision. Like it's the same thing with Inception, the end where the top is spinning. I know like there was famously like an article where they asked a costume designer if he used the same costumes on the kids, and he was like, well, yeah. And they're like, well, it's been 3 years that he's been on the run, so it should be all. And it's like,
Right.
Nolan, didn't put that scene in there for you to look at the costume designer's clothing size of the kid. He put it in there for you to make that
Right.
decision for yourself, and you're doing a disservice
Yeah.
by asking someone else. Like, again, I know this
Right.
review, this is the whole point of our podcast, but it's not necessarily to tell you what to think. It's more to like, this is the experience that we felt watching.
So like
this movie,
critically think
Right,
about what you're
exactly.
watching and like what's being communicated. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Right. It's like Inception is like like a narrative puzzle, which is like fun to put together, but like at the end of it, it didn't actually
Right.
happen, and it's like there is no real
Right.
answer. Like and it's intentionally done so to where it's like Nolan didn't make that movie just to sit in his house and be like, I know the
Right.
answer. It's like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That would be an absurd way to think
Yeah.
about it. And it's like, and I think with like David Lynch, it's like I think because he's always talking about like how dreams and ideas are things that you can just pluck out of the ether, and like he's a very encouraging
Mhm.
person to like other people, and I feel like he really trusts everyone to like have a good
Yeah.
idea and to like trust their own interpretation, and like he doesn't do it in like a snarky dickhead way of like I'm not gonna tell you. It's like I think that he really believes in like the human ability to like come up with cool ideas.
Yeah.
And that's why he does
And
it.
I think it's also the thing too, or like just to jump on that, where David Lynch, he wants you to like come up with it yourself and be that person, because it's all, like I said, I think it's a disservice to try to figure out what David Lynch meant. I think what David Lynch meant was for you to come up with your own answer and kind of do that.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, so I would say, even if you have no interest, I would say check it out. It's a pioneer of independent film. It's a pioneer of
Totally.
surrealist horror. If you like The Substance, this is where this kind of stuff started to come. Also, watch Iron Man. That's a cool
Yeah.
movie too. Maybe we'll talk
Yeah,
about that
it's a
one. That's
crazy
the
movie.
most horny movie ever,
Yeah.
so maybe not. But check that one out too. I think these kind of movies and this kind of director, and like, yeah, it took him 5 years to make this, but then Twin Peaks was a cultural phenomenon. He still got to make the return after
Mhm.
20 years. He was nominated for The Straight Story. So just because it took you 5 years to make your first film does not mean you're behind. It does not mean you're doing bad. It just
Right.
means it's taking you 5 years. So enjoy it.
Someone should just stomp it on your sperm
Yeah,
right now.
next week we will have a movie with a plot, kind of.
Yeah, we'll see.
But we're going to take it to another classic. I mean, the whole point of this series is that they're all classic directors, but I still like preface it like, next week you're gonna have a director but next week we will have a director and he's one of my favorite directors of all time. We've covered him a couple of times, at least once. So
Yeah.
find out what that is next week on the Bum Squad.